In this video I want to talk about the pro-gun organizations in the United States. Um, all of them, but it was focusing on the main one, the NRA. And one area where the gun control lobby has been, I think, fairly successful is they've managed to portray the NRA as some kind of very radical, right-wing, beyond-the-pale organization. And although certain parts of their characterization is correct, the NRA is actually a very powerful lobby. They are pretty mainstream. They are not for an abolition of all gun laws, which is unusual. Most of the other pro-gun organizations are a lot more radical than the NRA. The NRA, although it's perceived as being an extremely radical organization, at least by a lot of people, it's pretty mainstream. They're not against the NICS background check. They believe they're not opposed to concealed carry permits. They support constitutional carry when it comes about, but they're usually satisfied with permit carry. And they don't. I mean, they accept the machine gun. It's not a ban, but the restrictions on machine guns and other kinds of weapons. And but there's a. If you watch the Brady campaign and some of the other groups, they basically they purport, I don't think that they believe it, but a conspiracy theory that the NRA is powerful, and the reason it's powerful is because it gets all this money from gun manufacturers, and that's why they're so powerful. And it is true that the NRA does get a lot of money from gun manufacturers, but the reason the NRA is powerful is because it has millions and millions of members who pay dues and who donate a lot of money to them. And actually, the gun industry itself is powerful to the extent that it is, because there are tens of millions of people who dump money on them, who value their products and their services and give them a lot of money. And so, rather than admit that there's a large grassroots support for gun rights generally, not necessarily all gun rights, but a certain degree, they prefer to pretend that it's just some evil lobbying organization, some special interest. When if you look at the Brady campaign, their grassroots support, you couldn't possibly slice it any other way than it's much, much, much smaller. Their total members are far fewer, and most of those members, they're not dues paying. They're not even that active. If you compare the relative amounts of activism between the two, they don't compare. I actually think it's absurd when you'll have CNN or Fox News and you'll have the Brady campaign person and the NRA person. I don't think that's at all fair, because that implies there's some kind of equality between the two, when in fact the Brady campaign is many orders of magnitude less than the NRA. The other thing I wanted to say, though, is that as far as pro-gun organizations go, the NRA is basically as moderate as they come. Most of the other ones that I'm aware of, Gun Owners America is the second biggest organization, but then you also have the Jews for Preservation of Firearms, Second Amendment Foundation, there's a whole bunch. They typically go that there should be no laws at all. Maybe they don't all, but that's the real common theme, and that's certainly the side of the debate I fall on. So the NRA, and I guess I should go a little more. I like the NRA. I'm glad they exist. I think they have done a lot of good. Like Larry Pratt says, they are our friends. But if you're really a serious gun supporter, I think you'd be moving the debate further to support one of the other organizations. I'm not going to... Okay, I was a member of Gun Owners of America for a while. I don't pay dues now, but aside from the fact that they are good organizations, I actually think that the more powerful these better organizations are, the NRA will actually move in their direction, I would hope. And it's not against the NRA. Like I said, I think they do a lot of good things. I'm glad they exist. And they're definitely not a fringe lobby in any sense. That is a popular perception. If you listen to Rosie O'Donnell, or you watch foreign press, and even a little bit in the press here, it's kind of like, oh, the NRA is this shadowy gun rights. But the thing is, but they have power because there are people who believe in that and who spend money on that. I subscribe to the Brady campaign's email list just to see what they're up to, and they're basically always begging for money, and they can't expect even a fraction of what the NRA can ask for, because I've gotten their letters too. I mean, the NRA seems to be able to expect a lot more from its donors. So, and other than there's way more. I mean, if you look at the pro-gun side, there's basically every ethnic group, every gender, ethnicity is represented by a pro-gun organization. The anti-gun side, as far as I'm aware, it's basically one organization that has, 50 heads, and they all say the same thing. So I just thought I'd compare them a little bit.